What's up everyone, welcome back to Jades Corner. On this newest edition of the Fantasy Fight series, we'll settle the score on who would win in a fight to the death between the vampire elder Selene and the original hybrid and Klaus Mikaelson. These two powerful supernaturals from Underworld and the originals possess incredible powers and abilities that will make a fight between them insane. So these two will be fighting at their absolute peaks, which means they'll be fighting in their most powerful states. Join me as we break down the battle between these two characters regarding strength and skill, speed and agility, durability, endurance, combat experience, and hacks. But before we begin this fight to the death, if you're new here, subscribe, hit that like button, and ring the notification bell to stay up to date on all things supernatural, including the sterling battles. And now, let's see who wins this battle to the death between the Death Dealer and the original hybrid.
The craziest and wildest fighters have assembled from around the world to join in the fight. But only one will be declared the best. It's the battle of the century. Are you ready? Who will emerge a champion? Let's get started.
Because I lived for it.
Nice try, but I'm faster than your average vampire.
The ultimate battle for supremacy has begun! Who will emerge victorious? Fight!
So for strength and skill, I'm gonna give it to Selene. Selene has mastery over all sorts of different types of weapons. She's an expert marksman. She has martial arts mastery and is a master acrobat and parkourer. The strongest form of Selene is after she completed the Var door ritual and became one of the 3 new elders at the end of Underworld Blood Wars. She's one of the 3 strongest characters in her verse and is at her strongest in said film, Underworld Blood Wars. She was able to rip out Marius's spine, arguably the strongest Lycan we've seen in the entire series, on par with the Uber Lycan, Quint Lane, and the spine ripping feat would put her in the strength class of Class K, which is being on par with lifting up some of the heaviest animals in the world and aircraft carriers. Strength wise, she's superior to Klaus, but if we're talking about her weakest form as well, and including some of those feats that she can do as well in her strongest form, these are just, you know, what she was able to do in her weaker forms, but she's very much capable of performing these in her strongest form as well. Obviously, when she was a regular vampire, she's weaker than him. We're talking about Selene. So Selene, when she's a regular vampire, she's weaker than Klaus 100%. And if we're talking about when she became a vampire Corvinus hybrid, she's on par with Klaus strength wise. But even though she's physically superior, let's just mention some of her other feats that she was able to casually do in her weaker forms, as I was, talking about before, that she's capable of fully doing in her current elder form. She overpowered the first vampire, Marcus, who was strong enough to pull down a helicopter. She ripped off one of Marcus's spikes, was able to fold a man in half. Yes, you heard me right. Literally fold a man in half with her bare hands, which is one of the craziest things I've ever seen a vampire do, bar none. She's able to jab and kick a gun into a man's head with relative ease and ram a van with enough force to flip it, as seen in Underworld Awakening, and lift a grown man who was heavily weighed down by full assault gear. So yeah, Selene is very strong, and I think she's overlooked by a lot of people because a lot of people tend to view the Underworld universe as weaker than a lot of other verses, but the higher tiers, especially like Selene and those Underworld Blood Wars characters, they're built different. Selene is 100% stronger than Klaus, and I stand by that for sure. As for Klaus though, he's a skilled swordsman, and I've gone over his abilities a few times now since he's had the most reappearances in the rebooted Fantasy Fight series thus far, so I'm not going to cover his strength feats too much, because if you've seen the Vampire Diaries or the originals, or even have watched the newer Fantasy Fights that feature him, you should all be familiar with how strong he is. He's one of the strongest beings in his verse physically, with his most impressive feats being that he fought an army of vamps, decapitated somebody with a graduation cap. He was able to fight on par with Marcel, who was holding back, and is stronger than him in every single way, shape, or form. And he hit Reyna Cruz so hard with a tire iron, it set her flying dozens of feet. As mentioned before, overall, I think Selene wins this category bar none. I mean, that feat she has of just being able to fold a man in half with her bare hands, like the most we've seen Klaus come close to even doing that is being able to rip off limbs, which we saw him do in the season 3 premiere of the originals. But folding a man in half, that's different, dog. Like, yeah, Selene wins this, not even up for debate in my opinion.
Will the tide of battle turn?
For speed, we're gonna give them a tie. So both of these characters will be getting a tie here. For Selene, she scales to hypersonic levels of speed after her transformation with the Var door ritual. And for Klaus, he already scales at hypersonic, just being an original hybrid. And his most impressive speed feat, which a lot of people consider this a very controversial feat. So I'm not gonna say if this was actually performed or not, but there's evidence to suggest that it was performed in verse. He ran from New Orleans to Mystic Falls in 10 minutes in the season 4 finale of the Vampire Diaries graduation. There's evidence to prove that this actually happened. People have done the homework and have done the calcs to prove that this feat actually happened. So if you want to do the research yourself, you can. I've already done the research, which is why I included it here. But if you want to do the research, I suggest going on the Versus Battle Wiki, which is where the calculation feats for this feat were done. And yeah, you can check the forums there. They have numerous conversations of people talking about there. So if you want to vet it, go there. And I'm pretty sure there's other people who have talked about it too in like Reddit or something. But yeah, for this, we're just gonna give them a tie.
What will happen now?
For agility, I'm gonna give it to Selene 100%. She has superhuman agility and uses it far better than Klaus ever has and ever will, and is more agile than any vampire in the Vampire Diaries universe, period. Klaus uses his speed when fighting sometimes, but isn't particularly agile in the traditional sense. So for this, it's gotta go to Selene. This category shouldn't even be a discussion. Like, it should have been Selene and then boom, move on to the next category. But this is a video, we gotta explain the two. So yeah, Selene takes agility.
And the battle continues.
For durability, I'm actually gonna give this to Klaus for obvious reasons. Now, Selene is very durable, don't get me wrong, like very, very durable, but if enough physical damage is done to her, she can die. This was seen when she almost died at the hands of Marius, even after she got the insane power boost she did from Alexander Corvinus, when she fought him and took enough damage to the point where she was damn near dead. I don't know if she actually died or if she was like near death, but it's been a very long time since I've seen Blood War, so you guys will obviously let me know in the comments down below and clarify that for me. For Klaus, he can't die by any means except by the white oak stake or by a bite from an upgraded original like Marcel and Lucian, and people will love, especially Klaus fanboys, will love to argue with you in the comments telling you, no, he can't get killed by the bite, when you have official statements and concrete statements made by the showrunner for the first 4 seasons of the originals, 100% confirming not just once but twice that the bite from the upgraded originals can 100% kill Klaus. This is another one of his weaknesses as well, alongside the white oak stake, and there's no arguing with that. Listen, you can argue with me, but you can't argue with the showrunner. The showrunner is the one that created the upgraded originals and is the one that, wrote most of the originals, so take it up with him, don't take it up with me. But yeah, this goes to Klaus anyway nonetheless.
Let's keep it up.
For endurance, I'm not really gonna go over this too much. There's not really any super concrete endurance feats with these two characters, so I'm just gonna give both of them a tie here for endurance and just call it a day. So they both get a tie here for endurance.
Which of these two challengers will walk away a champion? Anything can happen now.
For combat experience, this is a little rocky because of Selene. Now, Selene is stated to be 632, but it's speculated by some in the community, and it's rumored that she could also be at least 1,000 years old. So if the latter is true, then combat experience is 100% a tie, because if she is 1,000 years old, she's just as old as Klaus is, which means they would both have to take combat experience because they've had 1,000 years of combat experience built up between both of the characters. So yeah, but if it's not true, then combat experience 100% goes to Klaus, because Selene would only be 632 years old and Klaus would obviously have a good like 400 something year over her, being over 1,000. So yeah, if the 1,000 year with Selene is true, then it's a tie. If not, goes to Klaus.
Pull out all the stops.
And the same thing applies to experience as well. If Selene being 1,000 years old is true, then it goes to both of them. It's a tie here, but if not, then it's Klaus. So not really gonna repeat the same points that I just did in the previous section. It pretty much is the same for this as well.
It all comes down to this. This match decides the winner. This is the last round.
And for hacks, it's 100% going to Klaus. The vampires in the Vampire Diaries universe have way more abilities than the vampires in Underworld do. By far, it's not even remotely close to the amount of abilities these two vampires share. Klaus has compulsion, he has his werewolf bite, he has the ability to cure people with his blood, he has a bunch of other shit on top of that. Klaus takes hacks, it's not even up for debate or discussion. He has way more abilities than Selene does. Klaus takes this, he takes this 100%. And the winner is, well, let's talk about it. So Klaus, in my opinion, wins most of the time. Very, very, very high difficulty though, because Selene is no slouch. She's probably the closest person aside from Angel at his peak and Spike with the Ring of Amara to give Klaus a run for his money, because Selene as an elder is an absolute dog. She's an absolute beast. So I'm not gonna downplay her just because I think Klaus wins most of the time. I'm actually gonna say there are a few scenarios where Selene will win, not by killing Klaus, but by incapacitating him, because it's obviously going to be impossible for her to kill him because she doesn't have the white oak stake. Yeah, Selene can win in a few instances, but again, just like for her as well, it's just going to be very high difficulty in terms of her winning. Like for both of them, either one of them can win very high difficulty. It's not going to be easy for either one of them, but I do see Klaus winning most of the time. So for the sake of picking a winner for this video, I'm going to pick Klaus Mikaelson as the winner. And for Selene, well, sorry Selene, but
Game over. You lose.
Finish him. Death awaits you.
Fatality.
if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, as it helps this video perform better in the algorithm and reach more people. Comment your thoughts on this video below. I go through all the comments, so any feedback is appreciated. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider making today that day. You guys have been absolutely killing it on the Fantasy Fights videos, especially on this recent Negan versus Governor video, which is the most viewed one I've posted since I rebooted this series. It's about to hit 3,000 views if it hasn't already hit that milestone already. So yeah, keep watching the videos. You guys are killing it, and I can't ask for any more in terms of that. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. But when you subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell icon and set those notifications to all so that you never miss a future video. Also, don't forget to join my Discord server linked below. We talk about TV shows on there, future video ideas. I also mainly share my news with anything that's going on with me, so like video delays or anything of that nature. It's mainly talked about on my Discord server. So if you guys haven't joined, I highly recommend that you do. I have like 30 something members, and we're just going to continue to grow it. That link in the description and pin comment, and join the Discord. All my socials and other versus battle channels will also be linked in the description and pin comment as well, including Jades Corner Comics and Jades Corner Anime. And until next time, this is Jades Corner signing off. Peace. And now a sneak peek and tease for the next Fantasy Fights video. Once again, thanks for watching and thanks for all the support so far on these videos. I really enjoy making them, and yeah, see you next time.